Welcome to Get the Elephants Out of the Room. I'm Chris Webber. We all have to deal with difficult people at work, difficult managers, difficult colleagues, and difficult customers. In this podcast, we share stories and experiences of people like you who face these challenges and share their secrets to success. Our mission is to help everyone overcome obstacles and to become more confident, better communicators. So sit back and relax while we unravel the mysteries of another difficult person. Jenny, welcome to the podcast. It's lovely to have you join us today.
Thank you for having me, Chris. Actually, really excited to be here.
Is this your first podcast?
It's my third one, I think I'm doing. Yes, but still have to get used to it. I'm definitely far away from being a pro on this.
Oh, I don't know. I think once you've done one, you're basically an expert these days.
Oh, if you say so. Okay, let's see.
It's lovely to have you join us. Jenny, introduce yourself to the audience. Tell us a bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jenny, as you already mentioned, based out of Luxembourg. I'm working for Amazon. I'm doing that already since 14 and a half years. So I'm, and as we call in Amazon, an old fart. You're going to laugh about this. But that's truly a tool that we have. So you can look where in the hierarchy, like in terms of joining, what was your spot in all the people that are within Amazon. So you can see I was the number XYZ that joined out of all the people that we are employing worldwide. And that tells you how old your fart actually is, which is quite interesting way to look into it.
Yeah.
I've started at Amazon as an executive assistant and project coordinator in the real estate department, like in 2012. I moved on to take over real estate PMO. From there, I became technical advisor or chief of staff to the vice president of EU operations. Very, very exciting role. I think that was one of the highlights throughout the whole journey. From there, I moved on to supply chain, the Europe supply chain team, where I built up a new team covering risk management, long-term planning, and expansion countries. So I was leading on the 9 expansion countries around the EU5 core ones that we are fulfilling from and within. And then from there, I took on network planning, which is basically where we put our FCs, our fulfillment centers, in the 1 to 3 year horizon, which was also a very exciting one. But I recognize that it's probably not the best for me because you are getting a new plan basically every month and you have to rewrite your plan accordingly, which was a lot of ambiguity I had to deal with at that time. When a new role actually came up in Amazon that my boss offered me at that time, which was EU, UK, and Turkey trade compliance. So that was my first touch point with compliance. And again, a very exciting role working with the European Commission, the World Trade Organization. So really making change on how we trade within Europe. From there, I moved on to security. So I was leading the global strategy and planning for our global operation security team. And I moved beginning of this year into my current role where I'm director for end-to-end building compliance and data integrity. So that's been my journey in Amazon in a few words. Before Amazon, I worked for a metal alloys trading company here in Luxembourg as well. And before that, I actually studied. I mean, I'm old, but not that old. But yeah, that's where we are.
Wow, I mean, that's an incredible career, and I have to admire the ability to adapt and to learn and to develop. And we're going to get into this during our conversation, I hope, to understand that. But that's an incredible wealth of experience. And I've got 2 observations that I just have to make right now. First of
Oh,
all
you know,
is, oh my goodness, it's 2012, 14 years ago, first of all,
it
because
is. It
that's not
is.
fair. And the second one is, what is your number, your Amazon number?
Now you're putting me on the spot. I didn't check it, but when people leave that have joined before you, the number is always like changing. But I can do it whilst we're speaking and see if I can
No,
find
no,
it
no, no,
on your
don't worry,
old
don't
file
worry.
too.
Oh, so you move up the rankings when other people
Of course, when
leave?
someone leaves, of course, of course.
Oh, wow. So I worked for another company in the past where people were very proud of the number that they had. You know, when did I join the organization? They had their number, but they lost it over time. So over time, you weren't given that. And I do think there's something valuable there's an identity there, particularly when you're working in a startup type environment, which is dynamic and you're trying to be courageous about where you go. Having that agency of like, this is who I am, this is my position in the business, I think is quite exciting.
Okay, I found it actually whilst you were speaking. So I
Okay.
can tell you that I'm amongst the 0.628% tenure creator than the rest of Amazon. So I have about 1.8 million people who joined after me.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Amazing. I love that they keep that going. Little things you learn.
Yeah,
Amazing.
no, it's exciting to see from time to time. I agree.
Yeah, it is. It's a nice position to be in. I wonder if you'd ever get to number one. Maybe that's not a target you want to have.
I mean, it's hard unless all the people that are longer in the company are leaving. But yeah, I mean, I'd rather move up in ranking and moving up in the
Yeah,
old fart too.
yeah, it's a different way of living. So let's talk
Exactly.
about that. Let's talk a bit about that, Jenny, because I think it's absolutely striking. You started off saying, I joined as an executive assistant, and here you are now, a director in the organisation. That's a wonderful journey, and 14 years is almost no time at all to do that. When you started, did you have that in your sights?
Honestly, I never thought it would be achievable. When I started, and we in Amazon we are organized in levels. So I started as a level 5, and at that time, when you were looking at an L7 or even a level 8, which is a director, you were seeing a few of them running around, and everyone was afraid. It's like, oh my god, there's a director coming, or oh my god, there's a senior manager coming, and yeah, like honestly, I never imagined that this would be a journey that is possible. But I think what it shows is that Amazon is really giving a lot of opportunities, and it doesn't matter where you start,
Mhm.
what you do. If you are a fungible talent, and that's what we really like empower people to be, and you can
Mhm.
demonstrate to succeed in several different environments, that's really what Amazon is supporting and what we want.
Mhm. So, how much of it was your ambition, and how much of it was, I guess, a culture that allowed you to do it? I guess a growing culture, and as you said, a culture prepared to invest in it.
How much of it was that? It's a very good question. Super hard to quantify, I would say, because I think I trusted my managers that I had throughout my journey, and I've been lucky with all of them that
Mhm.
they were seeing something in me that I probably never thought I had, and they empowered me and also like motivated me to take on new challenges where I was a bit hesitant. So I remember when I moved from being an EA to taking over EU real estate PMO, my boss at that time, he asked me 3 times, like, do you want to take, because we have that role vacant, you are the best person to do that. And I declined 3 times. And then the fourth time, it was actually a VP offering me to become his EA versus my boss offering me again, a last time he said, the PMO build up and starting from scratch, really, literally. We had an Excel sheet where we were tracking how we were covering our real estate asks and projects.
Yeah.
And that was the turning point, I think, where I had to make a decision like, do I want to stay an EA forever, or do I see that there's more out of that and there's more that I want to achieve in Amazon? And starting to smell that air and feeling like, oh, you're actually in demand. That was a quite nice feeling. And that also empowered me at that stage to say, okay, I'm going to give it a try. I'm really good at being an EA. In the worst case, I'm going to go back to it. But yeah, let's
Yeah.
give it a try with a PMO function and see how it goes.
So it was a combination of things: your courage to try something, but also incredible support from a leader who had faith in your ability and noticed something that you well, did you not see it, or did you just not believe it? The talent that they spotted.
I didn't believe it, probably. I mean, I know that like talking about ratings and you get your annual rating, it was always very good. But then
Mm.
going into the unknown, you're also taking a certain risk. And just taking that on your own is something different than when you feel like, okay, I'm being supported by my manager. And if worse comes to worse, and I really need to get back to having a job versus being unemployed if I really fail, having that like back option, I would say, and say, yeah, I could always go back. That makes you feel a bit more secure. So at that time, also had a little baby. We had built a house. So yeah, it's about like how much security do you need versus how much risk do you take. But getting that encouragement from my boss really helped me of saying, it's like, okay, maybe you're right. Maybe there's more to it, and I should just give it a try. Plus, you're also going to a new manager, and you know what you have, but you don't know what you get. So there's always a risk in like taking it. But I think it definitely was the right thing to do. And since then, I'm trusting my managers a lot more than I probably trusted myself before, because they have a different view on you, and they see you from a bird's eye view, and they see everything that you are delivering versus you are just in the day-to-day work and making things happen.
Yeah.
And a lot of my managers really gave me chances that I never thought I would get. And I'm still grateful for that. So yeah, that's something I would say. Believe, if you have a good manager, really believe in what they are telling you. And they usually know better than you would know about yourself.
Yeah, and it's not just managers, but yeah, it's important managers, because people from the outside see things that you don't see, and they don't know how you feel. I use video a lot when we do events and workshops, and at the start of it, everybody says, "I don't want to do a video." Afterwards, they always say, "This is my favorite part." And the power is to see yourself how others see you. And in the moment where you're in a meeting and you're feeling stressed or you're nervous about what it is you're about to say, and it doesn't look that way because you watched the video and you just come across as somebody controlled and calm, that recognition is really quite powerful. And I think that's what your manager notices, right? Here's somebody who knows what she's doing. She's comfortable. She's confident. She's delivering on what I'd anticipate, and more, I guess, delivering more than we would expect from her level. That's why I see the potential. In your mind, you're thinking, can I do it? Am I experienced enough? Doubting your capability versus others. They don't see that at all. They just see the actions that you take.
Yeah, and the results basically that you deliver, right? So I think it's, again, it's a combination of that, but 100% aligned. I think it's really, if you have a good manager, it's about trusting them because they give you chances and opportunities that, yeah, not everyone can create for you, but your network is similarly important. 100% on this.
Yeah. So how did it feel? You take a step up into a new role, different role, more challenging role. You said you had a young baby at the same time. Wow. So you decided to take everything on at the same time. Let's expand, build a house, let's have a baby, and let's get busy in my career. How did it feel the first time you started to engage at a higher level without within your new role?
Very honestly, I could tell you the first 2 weeks, I had tears in my eyes probably every evening saying, it's like, oh my God, have I done the right thing? It's
Wow.
it's so much that I have to learn. So especially when I moved into being like a chief of staff, coming from real estate, where like 8.5 years in real estate, you really be an expert on what you did. I did a whole PMO. I knew about every single project that we did in Europe. And I'm moving into the chief of staff role. I mean, my baby was a bit grown up at that time. She was 4 actually, but still, you have to get her to kindergarten. You have to deal with like everything that comes along with having a family. You have your house, you have your cats. I have 2 cats as well, sharing that. But yeah, it felt like very questionable at the beginning. But once you get your feet in and once you understand what is required from you, what's your best way around that? I mean, I think I personally, I would say it felt like the best experience that I had on Amazon, and I really thrived through it. But it's probably better to ask my manager than asking me, but I very, very much enjoyed it. And once you get into it and you feel like, oh, wow, I'm really making a difference here, that is such a great feeling. And I got promoted during that role as well, which then
Yeah.
even as a confirmation of, okay, everything that I'm doing, it can't be that wrong. So that was really exciting.
Did your manager know that you had the tears in your eyes in the first 2 weeks? or did you keep that quiet?
No, come on. I've been brave. No, I didn't share. I
No, but it's
think
interesting because, well, we know now, I
he
guess, maybe.
no, I mean now he knows. Yeah, if he's
Yeah.
listening to this, but no, I mean you try to be strong, and you definitely don't want to fail or let him feel like you're failing or you are not feeling like comfortable with the knowledge that I have now, and also the relationship that I have with him now. I would probably do that, and I've cried in his office when I was so desperate for other reasons, like when I was really on the edge of like, where should I go? Because I know now he's one of my trusted people that I could always go to when I have an issue, when I have a problem. But at that
Yeah.
time, I mean, you don't know each other that well, and you need to establish the relationship first. You need to understand like what's my role in all of this. And chief of staff is so, I mean, it's so wide that
Yeah.
you think about like, where am I going to add value first? Where should I jump on first? And I asked him, and he says like, you pick, right? Because it's
Oh,
really where you can add the most value, because where you have the best experience. I would say you should definitely be on all the real estate calls that we have. You should be on engineering, construction, because that's where you're coming from and where you probably can give me the biggest support. But whatever
yeah.
else is interesting or is of interest for you, you can just jump in. And he gave me like full access to his inbox, to everything that he was doing from the very beginning. So he gave me a good bit of earned trust from the day one. And I think I just had to really acknowledge and learn how to deal with that. And that's what probably also was challenging me in the first few weeks.
Yeah. Do you know, I think it's, I was just thinking about the feelings you were talking about, the reflections on those first few weeks, and I wonder how many other people find themselves in this position in roles where they are going home, tears in their eyes, stressed out. I had a conversation with a client this week who's very new in role, and is in exactly the situation. Come in with a job title, come in with a description, something that hasn't been done before, and is waiting for somebody to tell them what to do. And we had a conversation, and I said in the end, I think you need to do more than wait, because you'll wait for months, and someone will come and say to you, "What have you been doing?" Whereas if you kind of push your way in and say, "These are the things I want to do," then you start to contribute. You feel more confident. You feel like you're involved a little bit more. So I think you're asking that question of your manager is something lots of us struggle with in new roles, new positions. What's the scope of what I should be doing? Tell me what you want from me. And there's a leadership position which is no, you're empowered. I want you to take ownership. But sometimes we just need clarity. We just need someone to push us in and say, there, focus on that.
I do agree. And I think I have one of my employees, actually a very good one, I think, to add on here. She is one of the like probably most bias for action person that I know. Like I can see myself in like 10 years ago when I was still younger in her. And she's that one person, she always tells me, is like, you know what, Jane, I'd rather come and ask for forgiveness than asking for
Oh,
permission. And
yeah,
and that's a very powerful one. And that's totally like, yes, right. Just get it done no matter what. Just get going. And we can still course correct as we go. And if you need me here as your manager, I can always do that. But yeah, just get going, because you are the expert and you know usually better than many others. So I think, but that level of confidence is something that you need to, yeah, just gain throughout your journey. That's my personal experience, I would say. And I didn't have that when I was like in my 20s maybe, but
mhm.
yeah, I think it comes with time and experience.
Well, I think it reflects really well on a growth culture. One of the things I notice when I engage with clients across different sectors and different types of industries is, to me, this is something very starkly different in different companies. Some organizations, and Amazon, as you describe in the last few minutes, fits this very well. It's a let's get on with it culture. It's a trust our employees culture. So your manager says, hey, Jenny, you've got potential. I will ask you 3 times to take on a bigger role because I think you're capable of doing it, and kind of push you out of your comfort zone. It is a let's ask forgiveness, not permission culture. And that reflects on an organization which is going places, which is making things happen. I talk to clients in different organizations, and it's the complete opposite. They do not want to make a decision because they don't want to be held responsible for making a decision which is seen to be risky, which might be associated with them directly, and they can be, inverted commas, blamed. And this is organizations that don't have blame. When I ask them, how many people do you know who've been disciplined for decisions that were not 100% right? The answer is zero, none. I don't know anybody. But it's this perception of not wanting to make mistakes, get things wrong, that puts them in this inertial place where nothing happens. Everything takes forever because no one is prepared to get on and do it. And I think what you've described in Amazon and the culture that you've thrived in is a culture where people are more proactive because they're not waiting to be held up to account. They're more waiting to be recognized for success.
And that exactly nails the the environment that we are in here in Amazon, I think. So it's really like bias for action, get things going, get your hands dirty, and just make things happen because we don't have the time to wait. And we shouldn't wait for hierarchical decisions or bureaucracy or whatever it is. So we even have a bureaucracy inbox, I can tell you, that goes straight to Andy Jassy if someone spots something that is not going the right way or adding a bureaucracy layer. You can go up to Andy Jassy and just tell him and say, I think this should go differently. And I had in my previous team, I also had an instance where someone from the team was actually getting into that inbox and you feel like, oh my God, now I'm going to be hunted for this. But actually, it's the right thing to do. You are empowering people to spot things that are not going the way they should be or things that are not going as easy as they could actually go. So yes, 100%. That's the Amazon mentality here.
One of the things I describe is it's what is wrong, not who is wrong. And when we review, I work a lot with clients, and I encourage personal and group reflection. So personal reflection, what did I do? And I remember as a young sportsman walking into a dressing room, being asked by a senior player to rate myself in the training session we just finished, and to me it was a shock. I was 18. I was playing sport because I loved it, not because that's what had got me there. And it was a step up between good amateurs and top professionals. And I found it's always stuck with me. And I said, I don't know, probably about a 7 out of 10. And he looked at me deadpan and he said, how do you make it a 10? And it was that personal accountability for performance that was, to me, was really powerful. And when we sit in groups, we seem to look for what went well. No problem. Everyone loves telling stories about what went well. Things that didn't go so well, we avoid the conversation often, and we worry about being blamed for it. Whereas a powerful culture says what went wrong. And if it's, do you know what? There was a layer of bureaucracy there. It took us 3 weeks to get some documents signed because they needed to be signed by 4 people. And ultimately, it just slowed us down. Then it's not who is wrong. It's not somebody put that in and therefore they're wrong. They probably did it with good intention. It's what is wrong. That process is too slow. How do we make it more dynamic? That's
Yeah,
a
and
very different position. Yeah.
that's exactly what we are trying to spot as well. It's not about a person doing something wrong. It's about like where's the process broken or where do we have layered too many bureaucracy levels so that we can really fix it and still be that agile startup mentality business and that we don't take 3 weeks for getting something signed.
Yeah. So, Jenny, I want to move on and talk about your a moment in your career where you felt faced down by a difficult moment, a difficult personality. Um, tell us about what comes to mind when I say that to you.
There have been quite a few moments where you felt like, oh God, that's a difficult moment. But I think some of them have spotted out as, yeah, I don't want to call it highlights because effectively it's not, but it's good learnings. Let's take it as that. So I
Yeah.
think one was when I was in a meeting, and it's going back to the time when I was the VP's chief of staff. He sent me to a meeting to proxy for him, and I was the lowest level in the round of the full people who had joined. And one of the directors came on video and just said, like, who is this person and what is she doing here? And I felt like, is he
Mm.
talking about me? Because I was the only female in the room. So I was guessing she should be me. But I was in. So feeling like being spoken about you as a third person whilst you're in a meeting felt really weird. So then
Mm.
another director came on video and said, actually, she is the one taking the decision here. So any trouble with that? And that kind of silented out the conversation for a moment. And I think at that moment he noticed, like, actually the VP had sent her. It's like, now I get it. And he was connecting the dots. But that moment made me feel so uncomfortable. But then again, I felt proud that someone else was stepping up for me and really like saying, like, there is a reason why she is here, that I didn't have to fight for myself, but that someone of higher level was really stepping in and saying, like, yeah, she's the one that you need actually to convince of, like, I don't remember what the decision was in the end. I think it was something like a 4 or 5 million decision.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need to convince her and not the VP because she's here for him. But yeah, a good learning for me where I would say that's the kind of leadership that I never want to get to. And that's a learning for me that I took. It's like, I never want anyone to feel like I felt in that moment, no matter what level, no matter what meeting, but you should never make anyone feel that uncomfortable as I felt in that moment.
And so tell us, how did you feel? I mean, this is early in. I mean, we've just talked about your evolution through the organization and the moments where, at the start of this role, you were nervous, you were going home thinking, "Can I do this?" And then early on that time, someone calls into a meeting, says, "Who is she? What is she doing here?" You must have been ready to give up.
Exactly. I think that was, if this person who stepped in for me wouldn't have stepped in, I think I would have just said, okay, let me get my VP so he can do it, right? I didn't have the confidence in my capabilities nor in myself to just say, it's like, who are you to ask that question? And what does level have to do with, right, whether you respect me or not? I'm here as the chief of staff for this person. I mean, honestly speaking about it now, I would easily probably do it now
Mm.
versus back then when I was, again, a bit younger, a bit less mature, not yet in the role fully settled. And yeah, I think at that moment I would have excused myself and just say, okay, thank you, bye, something like that, just to
Yeah.
not make it more uncomfortable than it already was for me.
Yeah. What do you think their intention was when you look at it now? And I'm assuming you know this person a bit better over the years. What do you think their intention was when they asked that question?
Power play. So saying he was a director, I was like a manager, level 6. He was in level 8.
Mhm.
Um, and just showing me is like, okay, I mean, I don't want to judge man, female. This, like, that's not the intention, but really, I'm
Mhm.
your man here, and you have nothing to say. And I think, I mean, luckily, the environment has changed over the years, and it doesn't matter anymore whether you're black, white, yellow, whatever you are, female, male, LGBTQ, whatever it is, it doesn't matter anymore. But years ago, it still felt like that in some instances.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think it's interesting because we have these moments in our career where we're faced with these types of challenges, and now you know that as a power play, as a you recognize it as a power play. Do you see it as a game? Do you see it as his lack of self confidence?
I would say definitely, because it shouldn't matter to which level you are speaking. If the person in the room knows better than you, I mean, listen to them, give them an ear. And it
Mhm.
shouldn't, like, for me, I'm speaking to whoever, right? If I need guidance, if I need like a decision, if I need SME expertise, like something like this, it doesn't matter which level you're talking to. And that's something that I have to say a good bit of our VPs here as well. They do mentoring for whatever level, they make time for the people. And it should actually be that case. And it shouldn't be that it's the way that he made me feel at that moment. I mean, this person is no longer in Amazon, by the way, just to be clear
Yeah.
with that, because I don't think it's a thing that we would respect as a company. And if the moment that I told my manager, I think he was shocked. I don't know if he ever said something to him, but like treating people like this is non-Amazonian, and I think it shouldn't be in any company. But that's something that we shouldn't tolerate.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I think it's another underline of the positive culture within the business that that type of behaviour isn't tolerated. You told your manager, and they were shocked. Not in other places where I hear people report these things, and their managers say, "Yeah, that's just the way he is. He's always like that," and it becomes that kind of, "Oh, well, we need to accept it because that's the way they are," and to challenge it and to push back against it retains everything that you just talked about as being a great company. Those people become the barriers between your talent evolving and driving value in the organization and you leaving. And you become a cost to the business because you've lost all that potential because of someone who actually has limited potential.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the company is really like demonstrating that we are not accepting that is the right sign for the next generation to come, because these managers are like teaching other people to be like them. And if you build up another army of that mentality, that's exactly what you do not want, right? So I
Yeah.
think, yeah, we've taken the right steps at the right moment.
I think it's interesting that to me, it's the indication of what it is we're trying to encourage. And as we talked in the last few minutes, part of it is this type of behavior. But my insight there is why. Well, because to me it illustrates their weakness, their lack of confidence, their lack of openness to ideas, their lack of capability to manage the whole organization. When people close down and say, "I want to work at my level. I'm senior. I'm important," it's a reflection of their own lack of capability and confidence. People who are really confident, this is what I notice. People who are really confident, who really know their stuff, who really know what they're doing, they're open to ideas because they don't worry about their status being reflected negatively. They're like, it's fine, right? I know how good I am. And more than that, mentoring other people, sharing your experience, sharing your knowledge is a way of illustrating how, yeah, I'm prepared to share my ideas and my expertise with humility because that's the type of personality we are. And that's a real reflection of self confidence and capability and actually learning.
I agree, but it's also empowering people to finding their voice and raise concerns whenever they have concerns. And it's not only about concerns, but it's finding your voice also in meetings, that you should still feel empowered to speak up, even if there are higher levels in the room, that you should still feel confident, even if you say something wrong. Or, I mean, is there a wrong? That's always the question in
Yeah.
the room. But like no one should feel minor or should feel like I'm not entitled to speak here because I'm a lower level or I'm not the expert here. If I have a thought, there might be 10 other people in the room. They are just not having the confidence in speaking up. So take that and just do it. And that's something that I had to learn throughout my journey as well. Like really finding my voice and finding the spot. It's like, when is the right moment to speak up versus when is the moment to probably let others speak. So that I think it's, again, it's empowering that kind of leadership and empowering that kind of teaching also the next generation of leaders to be that same.
I'm very passionate about curiosity. It's one of the things that I think is a huge lever of opportunity. And curiosity is a gap in understanding. And there's a trigger, and there's a wonderful example of when the doorbell rings at home. suddenly you have this trigger of, I wonder who that is. Is it a delivery? Is it a friend? Is it a neighbor? Like, what is it? And our human consciousness is a lot, becomes alive. Often at work, we don't have this. And I think that great businesses have a curious culture, and that encourages you to say, I want to hear what other people have to say. If you're silent, I notice you're silent, but I know you have an opinion. I know you have an idea. That could be something really interesting that takes us in a different direction. And it reflects really well on organizations that way.
And that's why learn and be curious is one of our leadership principles. And we
Is
really,
it?
yes, it is. No, it's truly that's so leadership principles for us is we're speaking with that like daily, and it's not something that is just written on a wall or written on an internal page. It's really like we live and breathe that in Amazon every day. So learn and be curious is really one of those that I think it comes also throughout your journey. So you start with when you're new in Amazon, like how to take real ownership, how to dive deep on like things, issues, whatever it is, deliver results, buyers for action. But then as you go and you evolve throughout that, and these four are all leadership principles, you go into learn and be curious. Customer obsession is always our top one. Everything that we should be doing should always be driven by our customer obsession, always asking the question like, is the customer going to benefit from that? And
Yeah.
that is the beauty of it. I think to you mentioning being curious, I mean, it should naturally be there. Some people have more of it, some people have less of it, but
Mhm.
it's a very important leadership principle for us.
Yeah, it's absolutely perfect. And these experiences, Jenny, this your career trajectory and your success, that's something now you're really passionate about and you're championing for others, I understand.
That's true, yes. And we also have mentorship programs where we can like further develop other people who would want to learn from you. So you can, it's actually a system that we have. You can give in the inputs that you want to share and say, I want to learn more about like I'm just picking it up, earn trust. So I
Yeah.
want to learn about how to change roles. How did people adapt? I want to do more of Amazon writing style. And you can put in the ask into the system, and then the system is going to give you suggestions about saying, oh, this person could actually be a good match for you because of their career, because of what they've done, what they put on as their inspiration or their strengths. So yes, if you ask my assistant, she will tell that I have too many mentees. But yeah, I'm very passionate about that.
And so do you volunteer for that, or is it like, is everybody triggered to put themselves down as a mentor or as mentees? Is it like naturally, or did you put your hand up and say, I want to do this?
It's natural, so no one is forced to do that. But I can tell you, I rarely know people who are not doing it. So both
Mm.
having mentors, but also having mentees. And I think it's a good way of learning from each other's experience. And you can pick the people that you feel like that's a good match, or that's. And even reaching out to people outside of the system, I have people just sending me messages after a fireside chat or when I do a speaking event or something is like, oh, really admire how you did that and you inspire and no. Would you be willing to take me on as a mentee? It's like, it's a huge compliment. That's what I can
Yeah,
say.
it is.
But yeah, it's a cool thing of staying connected also to people that are outside of your business unit or you admire for something else. And that is just a cool way to have the business connecting with each other, also from different business lines, business units.
I know so many organizations who would love this, who would absolutely love it. And I've worked with people who try to, other coaches and consultants who try to build mentoring systems. And they find them really hard to do because everybody wants to be a mentor. No one wants to be a mentee because it's like, oh, it's a status game. And, or they're trying to do it for the wrong reasons. I want to connect with someone senior because that will help me get promoted. This system sounds like genuinely the right match, and I love that you put in the system, I want to learn this, and it connects you with somebody, not you reach out to someone as an individual. That is such a more powerful and valuable uh, step.
I think it's really useful, and I can tell you, I have mentors as well.
Yeah.
And it's nothing close to a status or anything. It's obviously you can put in and say, oh, wow, look at this person was my mentor. They might be able to give you feedback during the annual review process. They might be like a potential contributor when it comes to the point of being promoted. So there is benefits in it even longer term, and also outside of just the personal learning that you're taking from it. But I tell you something, I had a mentor who I felt, and I approached his manager first, saying, like, do you mind if I ask him for, because I knew he was super busy and he was a level above me at that time. And I just went to his manager and said, do you mind if I do that? And he said, it's like, you know what, that's actually a fantastic idea. And I said, it's like, okay, cool, tell me more. And he said, this person is super strong in knowledge. And that's exactly why I picked him. He had knowledge, like, I mean, I think a walking encyclopedia, if you could call it like that. No, honestly, it's like super, super good knowledge that I thought was like, God, if I could learn just a little bit of that from him, that would be so great. But his manager said to me, you know what, you are so great with people. And he is not the strongest on the people side, but he's super strong on the knowledge side. So it's actually, for me, if you connect with him, it's not going to be a mentor-mentee. It's going to be a mentor-mentorship, because you're going to be
Wow.
learning from each other on the sides that each of you is super strong on. And that's super powerful, as I think it was to both of us. I hope it was, but yeah, that's the perception that I got from his manager.
Do you know, and there's somebody else I know who's championing reciprocal mentorships and exactly this building. And we did a podcast episode talking about it, trying to construct this because of the power of that. And I'm definitely going to share this story as an example to him, because they are desperately championing this process because they just love the power of it. This, we all have opportunities to develop and learn, and you create the right connections, and they're just incredible.
Cool. No, that's good. Absolutely. Feel free to share.
So, Jenny, when you look back on the last few years and your development, and your successes, what are the lessons that you would share with other people? Perhaps there are people listening now who are thinking about, like you were in 2011, 2012, am I good enough? Should I be courageous? My manager's saying I should, but are they just being polite? What are the lessons that you would share with people?
To your last segment, why would your manager need to be polite at you? I don't think that is something that happens just because of, people are so naturally friendly. It's more the other way around, I would say. I think trust in what your manager sees in you. And that's an important lesson that I had to go through. I remember an instance, again, I'm going back to when I was chief of staff, when I was sitting in a meeting room with mainly men, and they were talking about DEI. But again, I was new in the role. And the only females in the room were the HR person and me. And being the lowest level in the room, I stayed very calm. After the meeting, my VP came to me and saying, it's like, I mean, I thought you'd be really passionate about DI. So diversity is like, you're leading an affinity group for people with disability. So I thought that's really something that you would want to add on and really participate in the discussions. And I said to him, it's like, you know what? I didn't feel like you all VIPs around me. I mean, directors and VPs, basically,
Yeah.
you would value like my senior manager or manager opinion at that stage. And he said to me something that probably guides me still through my journey. And he said, you know what? If any one of these people at that table is not interested in your opinion, they are wrong with having a seat at this table. And that is so, so powerful. And it demonstrated me the value that he gave me. And he is not thinking, or he wasn't thinking, I don't think he is at this stage either, but he wasn't thinking in levels, or he wasn't thinking about like, am I valuable enough? Am I really good enough to be part of that discussion? But it's more about, I really want her to be part of that. I really want her to thrive. And I really value her opinion at this table. So from that moment on, in every meeting, he came to me and he said, so Jenny, what's your opinion about that? So I cut myself
Yeah.
into my finger, because I should have spoken up firsthand instead of waiting for him to push me. But I think I probably needed that like nice push in saying like, okay, you value and we do care about your opinion, no matter what level or what position you have. We really, really want to see what you have to contribute here. And that helped me finding my voice. And that's something that I would want to give to managers as much as people who are struggling with finding their voice or finding their spot, questioning themselves. If you don't feel comfortable in doing it yourself, and that's what I'm doing a lot with my team, if I know there's someone who's much, much more into the details than I am, I get started on it, but I add in the person of saying, oh, you know what? Julia might have a lot more details about that. Julia, is there anything you want to add to what I said? So really,
Yeah.
like, building the bridge of finding a way of making them speak up when I know that they're really comfortable with doing so. I mean, I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, but I think sometimes people just need that friendly push, and that's what I needed at that time. So I'm doing it similarly with my team. And if you feel like you need that, even speak to your manager and ask them to build that bridge for you if you feel like you can't do it on your own.
Yeah. I think that's wonderful advice. And a couple of things I've learned and taken away from this conversation. One of them is that treating people like a human, you felt dehumanized with somebody who played a status game, played a power position, which could have impacted your life and your career if you hadn't had that support around you. And so, learning the lesson is let's make sure we treat everybody as equals. Is to me is a huge lesson here, because you don't know what other people are going through, what other people are playing, and curiosity. I love that curiosity sits so clearly at the heart of the way that your business operates and the way that you operate, because that just fires so much opportunity to see other people's perspectives and other people's points of view. And I think that's huge. And the final thing for me, Jenny, is courage. It's all very well for your manager to say, yeah, I think you can do it. But at the time, you've got a young child, you've got a new home. It's so easy for us to say, let's stay safe. I'll stick with what I know. I'm doing well. I'm comfortable with where I am. I'll just keep it safe. There is never a good moment. There's never a perfect moment. So just, embrace the opportunities as they come and be courageous.
Absolutely. Yes, you're 100% correct on this. And sometimes you have these once in a lifetime chances. And even if it's not suitable with your environment outside, I mean, you still need to feel comfortable with it. I think that's just the one point. But just take the chances as they come. I think I've done that several times, and I've taken several risks in my journey. Also, some, like as I said at the beginning, for example, the network planning role, which I thought is the perfect combination of my real estate knowledge and supply chain before that, and putting that together. But in the end, it didn't turn out to be the perfect job. And I feel like it's so much more valuable for me to have a perfect manager. I mean, no one is perfect, but a really good one that I think I can learn from, that I appreciate, versus that could be the perfect role for me. I think that's really where I see a lot of benefits coming out of.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jenny. It's been a wonderful conversation, very inspiring, lots of lessons for people, and I really appreciate you giving us your time.
Thank you for giving me the chance to do so, Chris, and you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks for listening. I hope you took away some useful insights. Join us again next time when we unpick the behaviours of more difficult people. Until then, take care and see you soon.